Political corruption is a disease. It infects governments and societies. Leaders who protect criminals betray their people. This betrayal undermines trust, justice, and democracy. We must address it urgently. When leaders turn a blind eye, the damage is immense. Corruption becomes normalized. Criminals operate with impunity. Citizens suffer the most. Resources meant for public welfare are stolen. This is not just a political issue, it's a moral crisis. The stakes are high. Corruption breeds inequality. It fuels poverty and violence. Societies crumble under the weight of corrupted governance. Every moment of inaction allows the disease to spread further. We cannot afford to ignore this any longer. We must shine a light on corruption. We must demand accountability from our leaders. This essay explores the depths of political corruption, its impacts, and the urgent need for change. History is rife with examples of corrupt leadership. Ancient Rome saw emperors like Nero who indulged in excesses. They protected their allies and persecuted the innocent. The empire eventually crumbled under such leadership. Lessons from Rome teach us the high costs of corruption. In more recent history, we see the Watergate scandal. President Nixon's involvement in the cover-up led to his resignation. This scandal shook the foundations of American democracy. It showed that even the highest office is not above the law. In Africa, the regime of Mobutu Sese Seko in Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, is another stark example. His kleptocratic rule drained the country's resources. Corruption was rampant and the people suffered. Mobutu's rule left the country in economic ruins. These historical precedents highlight a pattern. Corruption at the top cascades down, affecting all levels of society. The moral and legal implications are significant. Leaders must be held accountable to prevent history from repeating itself. Today's world is not immune to corruption. In Brazil, the Lava Jato, or car wash scandal, exposed a vast network of corruption. Political leaders and business executives were implicated. Billions of dollars were siphoned off. This scandal showed the extensive reach of corruption. In South Africa, former President Jacob Zuma's administration was marred by corruption. The Gupta family wielded undue influence over state affairs. This led to state capture, where private interests controlled public resources. The socio-economic impact was severe. Another glaring example is the Philippines under President Rodrigo Duterte. His war on drugs targeted the poor disproportionately. Reports suggest extrajudicial killings were rampant. Duterte's administration faced allegations of corruption and abuses of power. These examples show that corruption is a global issue. It transcends borders and cultures. The betrayal by leaders protecting criminals is a recurring theme. The consequences are dire, affecting millions of lives. Urgent action is needed to combat this menace. Corruption erodes trust. When leaders are corrupt, citizens lose faith in governance. This loss of trust is detrimental. It affects social cohesion and stability. People feel betrayed by those meant to protect and serve them. Integrity is the cornerstone of leadership. Without it, leaders cannot be trusted. Corrupt leaders compromise their integrity for personal gain. This sets a dangerous precedent. It signals that unethical behavior is acceptable. This moral decay seeps into society. The impact on public services is profound. Funds meant for healthcare, education, and infrastructure are diverted. Citizens suffer due to lack of essential services. The most vulnerable are hit the hardest. Corruption deepens inequality and social injustice. The moral implications extend beyond immediate impacts. Future generations are affected. They inherit a system where corruption is entrenched. Rebuilding trust and integrity becomes a monumental task. It requires collective effort and unwavering commitment. Section 5. Legal consequences, the price of corruption. Corruption has legal ramifications. Laws exist to combat it, but unfortunately, enforcement is often lax. When leaders protect criminals, they undermine the rule of law. This creates a culture of impunity. Criminals operate with confidence, knowing they are shielded. Legal frameworks like the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act in the US aim to curb corruption. This act prohibits the bribery of foreign officials and holds corporations accountable. However, enforcement is a challenge. Powerful figures often evade justice. Internationally, the United Nations Convention Against Corruption provides a comprehensive framework. It promotes preventive measures and criminalization. Yet implementation varies across countries. Political will is crucial for effective enforcement. The price of corruption is high. It leads to economic losses and social unrest. Legal systems must be strengthened. Leaders must be held accountable. The law should serve as a deterrent. Only through rigorous enforcement can we hope to curb corruption. Section 6. Real-life stories, victims and heroes. Corruption impacts real lives. Consider the story of Anna Hazara, an Indian social activist. He led a movement against corruption in India. His hunger strikes and protests galvanized the nation. His efforts led to the establishment of the Lokpal Bill, aimed at tackling corruption. In contrast, think of the ordinary citizens who suffer. In Kenya, the National Youth Service scandal saw billions of shillings stolen. Funds meant for youth empowerment programs vanished. Young people were deprived of opportunities. Their dreams were shattered by corruption. Heroes emerge in the fight against corruption. Whistleblowers like Edward Snowden and Chelsea Manning exposed government malfeasance. They risked their lives and freedom. Their actions sparked global debates on transparency and accountability. These stories highlight the human element of corruption. For every hero, there are countless victims. The battle against corruption is fought on many fronts. It requires courage, resilience, and a commitment to justice. Section 7. The role of media, shining a light on darkness. Media plays a crucial role in combating corruption. Investigative journalism exposes wrongdoing. Reports by journalists bring hidden truths to light. They hold leaders accountable. This is essential for a functioning democracy. Consider the Panama Papers. This massive leak exposed offshore accounts of the rich and powerful. Journalists from around the world collaborated. Their work led to resignations and legal actions. It showed the power of media in uncovering corruption. However, journalists often face threats. In countries like Russia and Mexico, investigative reporters are targeted. They face harassment, violence, and even death. Despite these dangers, many continue their work. Their courage is commendable. The media must remain vigilant. It must continue to shine a light on darkness. Public support for investigative journalism is crucial. Protecting press freedom is essential. A free press is a powerful tool against corruption. Section 8. The call for just leadership, biblical insights. The Bible offers insights into leadership and righteousness. 1 Chronicles 9:11 states, Azariah son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zadok, the son of Meraioth, the son of Ahitub, the official in charge of the house of God. This scripture emphasizes the importance of righteous leadership. Righteous leaders are just and fair. They uphold moral and ethical standards. They protect the vulnerable and serve with integrity. Biblical principles can guide us in choosing and supporting just leaders. Corrupt leaders stray from these principles. They prioritize personal gain over public good. They fail in their duty to serve. This leads to social and moral decay. We must seek leaders who embody righteousness. Faith communities can play a role. They can advocate for ethical leadership. They can educate and mobilize citizens. Drawing on biblical teachings, they can inspire a movement for integrity in governance. Section 9. Active participation, power of the vote. Voting is a powerful tool. It is a way to hold leaders accountable. Every vote counts. It is a statement of values and priorities. Active participation in elections is crucial for democracy. Citizens must be informed voters. They should research candidates' backgrounds. They should scrutinize their track records. Electing leaders of integrity is key to combating corruption. Voter education campaigns can play a significant role. Youth engagement is vital. Young people are often disillusioned with politics. Efforts must be made to involve them. They are the leaders of tomorrow. Their participation can bring fresh perspectives and drive change. Voting is not just a right, it is a responsibility. It is a means to shape the future. By voting, citizens can demand integrity and accountability. They can reject corrupt leaders and support those who stand for justice. Section 10. Conclusion. A call to action for integrity and change. The fight against corruption is a collective effort. It requires the involvement of every citizen. We must demand integrity and accountability from our leaders. We must support just leadership. The consequences of inaction are dire. Corruption erodes trust, deepens inequality, and undermines democracy. We cannot afford to remain silent. We must raise our voices against corruption. This is a call to action. Engage in governance. Vote wisely. Support investigative journalism. Advocate for legal reforms. Stand against corruption in all its forms. Together, we can reclaim our sovereignty. Let us build a future where leaders serve with integrity. A future where justice prevails. A future where every citizen enjoys the fruits of honest governance. The time for change is now. Let us act with urgency and resolve. Resources, or join us in person at our welcoming space at 5237 West VIDEOSEO Avenue in Chicago. We are here for you. It's time to discover what you've been missing.